And the feast of the Queenship of Mary was chosen the last day of May, May 31st. On that day, I was in grammar school. The pastor of my church, Father Santora, was renovating the rectory and the gardens outside the rectory. And there were two statues in front of the rectory, one of Mary with a crown holding baby Jesus, and the other St. Joseph. So I was in grammar school. So I said to Father Santora, what are you going to do with those statues? He says, you want one? I said, yeah. I didn't ask my mother, my father, anybody. And these things are cast iron, they're heavy. I said, yeah. He said, okay, you take the one you want. I said, okay. So after Mass, I went home and told my father. I said, Father Santora said we should take that statue of Mary that he's not going to use anymore. And he said, you nuts? What are we going to do with that? I says, my mother says, let's make a shrine. So we built a little shrine. Wasn't a little shrine. She's life size. It was a big shrine on 4th Street in Jersey City, and it stayed there through all the years we lived there. And then after my father passed, I took it because the house had been sold and renovated. I took it and I have it with me where I go. So the Queenship of Mary was that day that we finally got it opened. My father put the electricity on, people came and offered flowers, and it was like a real Italian neighborhood, so everybody knew it was happening. It was a countdown, like when is it going to happen? And when it finally happened, it was today, the Queenship of Mary, but not in August. It was the end of May, the original date of the Queenship of Mary. So after Vatican II, the combination of the Assumption and Mary's honor as Queen of Heaven were put together, and these last 7 days have been honoring Mary at the Assumption to today, Queen of Heaven. It all works well theologically, if you figure. She assumed into heaven. Jesus brought his mother back, body and soul, into heaven after her. The Eastern Church, and we could call it that too, calls it the dormition, the falling asleep of Mary, because they believe she didn't authentically die. She fell asleep in the Lord, and the Lord rose her to heaven. It's like this. You want to believe that, that's fine. But the idea is that the Assumption is the key, that body and soul, Mary was brought to heaven, and the date for that is the 15th, which was last week. And what's her role in heaven? She's queen. Now again, this goes back into antiquity. In Hebrew scriptures, we always hear about the king. You know all the kings, you've heard about them all. We don't hear much about their mothers, but in Hebrew theology, we know there's always a woman behind the throne. Not the wife, the mother. And that gives the role of a Jewish mother such importance in the life of Jewish people. Well, we're not Jewish, we're Italian, but I think my mother usurped that role, and she became like queen of our family. But all mothers deserve that role as queen because of what they do and what they carry. So we look at Mary as Queen of Heaven, as Jesus' mother. He brings her to heaven not as a co-redemptress, not as a god. She's not a goddess. She's his mother. She's a saint. She's a holy woman. Okay? She's not a part of the Trinity. Make no bones about it. We pray to Mary, so the prayers go to God. So all the Hail Marys, all the prayers we say, we honor the statue of Mary. It's always through Mary to Jesus, through Mary to the Father. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. It's very appropriate. Okay, so just imagine being back in the court of one of the kings of Israel, and you want to see the king, and you know the mother, and you call her over. Can I see his son? Can I see Solomon or one Hezekiah? And you know what a mother does. Mothers here would do the same thing. Come here. I'll take you in the back door, and I'll get you to see him. Mothers have always been protectors. That's why one of these current themes in our society, it'll fade, it will fade, they all fade, of non-gender ideology. It's so bizarre, okay? But it's not the first bizarre agenda we've had in social media or society going back from the beginning of time. But this one is very offensive to Mary. It's very offensive to the family. It's very offensive to motherhood. It's very offensive to gender. If you're a boy, you're a boy. If you're a girl, you're a girl. And if there are psychological issues going on within that person, there's counseling. There's counseling. And I would want to be very sympathetic to that, because that has a lot to do with chemistry, internal mental chemistry. So there are some people in our society that feel that they want to move to another gender. They need help. They need our prayers. Not our mockery, but our prayers. So let's go back to the family, though. Mary took her role as mother of that household, and she protected Jesus.